Right then, so Commodore Amiga and Atari ST games. Now, a lot of these, if not all of them, you have seen before, but I think maybe one or two possibly have slipped through the net. So here's your chance to see the majority of them that I've got here. I say the majority because there's still a few boxes which need unpacked, and I'm hazarding a guess there's going to be a few in there. But anyway, this is what I've got so far. First up is FA-18 Interceptor. Now the cool thing about these is they're like kind of old LPs, you know, like gatefold records. So obviously the back, and the record would go in there, or in this case the disc, as well as the, you know, protection wheel, instruction manual, etc. And I don't know, they just look really cool. Now I think these are all American. Well, in fact I know these are definitely American, but what I mean by that is I don't know if they were released in the UK like this, because I can't remember seeing anything like this. Obviously they all came in, you know, boxes or cases. But this is different, but I like it. It's good. That's the first one. Next one up is Skyfox, another one made by Electronic Arts. I think all of these, apart from the next one of these gatefold kind of LP style games, are all Electronic Arts. And again, opens up there, nice little cartoon. And the graphics on the back. Next one up is Firepower. And I like the artwork on that. You could say pretty basic, but very sort of artistic as well. Now this one doesn't open up, it's just literally the stuff goes in there, but it doesn't open up like a gatefold. That's that one. Another kind of tank sim. And then we've got several of these. Deluxe print. Deluxe paint, and another paint, which is the art and utility disc. So maybe get into those at some stage in the future. Next one is Marble Madness. So this one opens up again. I like the look of that with the red and the blue and the silver. It looks looks nice, and it looks exactly like what's that game called? Spin Dizzy, which I used to absolutely love on the Amstrad. Absolutely loved it. So whether this is the Amiga version or maybe a sequel, I'm not quite sure. And then last but not least is Instant Music, with some amazing poses there from those characters. Brilliant. So yeah, I guess ultimately just a music package. And the Amiga, as we all know, was pretty good for sound. Well, very good. Whereas the Atari ST was great for actual musicians, but in terms of audio for a game, it wasn't that good until the STE chip came along. But by the time that came along, you know, you're looking at kind of the very early 90s, I guess, and, you know, consoles are only a couple of years away from dominating, so I think Atari left it a little bit too late there. So that's why, another reason why I've gone back to the Amiga, really. I mean, I love the Atari ST through nostalgia. I had an Atari ST first, but the Amiga versions of the games are, you know, 9 times out of 10 better. You know, every now and again the ST will, you know, bring a surprise out of the bag, you know, pull a rabbit out of the hat and have a better version, but generally the Amiga was better all round. But anyway, that's that. First up, with the actual box games, is Chase HQ 2. Absolutely love this game. Much better, well, I say much better than the original. In fact, seeing as I've got it here as well, might as well show that one. Chase HQ 2. And just great memories of playing this on the 8-bit machines and obviously 16-bit, and brilliant memories of this, and a really devious memory of this one actually. I remember we had foreign exchange students around in around about 91, give or take, and I had a game like this, well, not a game like this game, Chase HQ 2, but I'm pretty certain that it was an even bigger box. But I stand corrected, but from memory it seems to have been like a much longer box than this, but it was Chase HQ 2, and I had the Atari ST first, like I say, and but the box I had said Commodore Amiga, but the actual disc was for the ST, and I guess I was a little bit deviant. I feel really bad about this, even all these years later, I probably always will, but one of the foreign exchange students had an Amiga, and he loved this game because he was playing it on my Atari ST. He noticed the box said Amiga, and he went, oh, so does this work on the Amiga as well? Not in that kind of accent, in a Germany kind of accent, which I'm not going to do. And like I say, deviously I went, yeah, it does actually work on the Amiga and the ST. So if you want to buy it off me, and I think he gave me like 15 quid, and I knew damn fine it didn't work on his Amiga, because it was an Atari ST disc. So he would have took it back to Germany, put the disc into his Amiga, and found out that it didn't work. Probably called me every name under the sun, and I feel bad about that. Obviously, I have no idea what... I remember his name was Christian, but I imagine there's quite a lot of Christians in Germany, so tracking him down will be very, very difficult. But if I ever do, I think I'll give him his 15 quid back, and buy him a pint as well, because that was pretty devious. But, you know, when you're 13 and 14, you know, you want money, don't you? Because you're starting to go out a little bit and, you know, a little bit more independence, and you become a little bit cunning, and I guess I was cunning there. But anyway, that's that story. If it's any consolation at Christian, I spent the 15 quid wisely on, you know, fizzy drinks, sweets, and a football game, probably. Next up is a game called Fiendish Freddys Big Chopper Fun. And I never had this game myself back in the day, but a friend had it on the Commodore 64, and he thought it was great. His name was Carl. Just name-dropping all these people that you will never have heard of, or probably never will. Although I would laugh if you are Christian watching this in Germany, and you're like, hang on a minute. Or Carl watching this. So yeah, Fiendish Freddys, Big Chopper Fun, kind of like a circus kind of game, you know, do all the acts and that kind of thing. Never played it on the 16-bit version. Like I say, my experience is with the Commodore 64 version. Next up is another one by Gremlin. It's a game which I'm not going to race to play, quite frankly. Greg Norman's Ultimate Golf. Shark Attack. Obviously, he was known as the shark. Was a shark? The white shark? The great shark? Something like that. Can't remember. And it doesn't look too bad, actually, on the back. Not too dissimilar to, say, Actual Golf on the PlayStation 1. If you have a look at it carefully, pretty good. Obviously, the PS1 version is better, but still. Crazy Cars 2. Brilliant game. This comes in like kind of one of these, another little ingenious design, little box there. Instruction leaflets, and there's the disc, in case you wanted to see that. So yeah, pretty decent game. And there's the back. And you probably can't see it because of the glare. And I love that old logo. Again, another one, Titus. Brings back so many memories. That's another reason I just love, you know, not collecting as such, but, you know, like buying for the Amiga and the ST. Brings back so many good memories. And of course the consoles, the computers are out from what, 87 to around about 93? So that's a lot of time there. You know, a lot of games came out. And so, you know, in that kind of 6-7 year window, there's a lot of memories. Daily Double Horse Racing? Not really a lot to say about that. It's actually quite uncommon, or so I'm led to believe. But I can't really see many people being after it. But if you are looking for it, then it's quite difficult to track down. And I've touched upon this before, but I'll show it again. Inside the box, the disc. And I love how the instruction manual is like a newspaper, like a betting paper. I just think it's brilliant, ingenious. And it's all full of information and instructions, but like I say, set out in a newspaper layout. Next up, we've got Populace. This one's for the Atari ST, as you can see. Or can you? Yeah, I think you can see there. Yeah, kind of a god sim, and it's a classic. I prefer Populace 2, quite obviously, I guess. It's got a lot more features in, and it's a much more enjoyable experience, but this is still a good game, and I like the cover art. And also, speaking of Populace, also for the Atari ST, actually this one I think is for the ST and the Amiga as well. One of those games that has that duality, which was really handy back in the day. And this is just a data disc with 5 new lands, or 5 new worlds, as it says there. Next up is Micropro Soccer. Absolutely brilliant game on all systems. The Amstrad version is kind of black and white, bizarrely, but, you know, has the same playability as all the other versions. And, yeah, I remember going back to around about 89, give or take, and my dad was on... Because I've said before, my dad was and still is a policeman, but going back to the late 80s, he was on like a firearms course or something. He had to go to London. And he said, you know, do you want me to get you a game? Is there a game you're looking out for? And I said, well, yeah, if you can see it, I'm really looking for this game called Micropro Soccer. Now, a friend of mine, well, 2 friends, Danny and Rob, like I say, just name-checking everyone here, they had a Commodore 64, and I absolutely loved this game on the Commodore 64. It was amazing. You know, playability, the colour graphics, it was just brilliant, and I wanted it for my Amstrad. And so I said, well, if you see this game in the Virgin Megastore in London, you know, that was kind of the place to go for your games, I guess. I said, yeah, if you can get that, please, that'd be amazing, you know, on the disc, Amstrad disc. And so the next day I woke up in the morning, you know, getting ready to go to school, and on the desk, or on the front table in the living room, was this in a Virgin Megastore box, but the Amstrad version. And so yeah, great memories of this. Now, annoyingly, like I say, when I put the Amstrad version on, I was shocked because it was like black, not black and white, black and green kind of graphics with a bit of silver in. And it was nothing like the Commodore 64 version. So I was really disappointed. But, like I say, it played like the Commodore 64 version. So I soon got to love it. And, but yeah, I remember instantly being a bit shocked, thinking, bloody hell, this doesn't look anything like what I thought it would. Oh, well, the sprites were the same, obviously, but it was just lacking the colour. But everything, you know, the graphics, the way it moved, everything was the same. Just it didn't have the colours. But obviously the Amiga version does. And, yeah, it's wildly unrealistic, but a brilliant game. And that front cover, again, just nostalgically reminds me of getting the Amstrad version back in the late 80s. Now, I name-checked another friend a minute ago, Rob, and who I still speak to every now and again, and he got me, not this actual one, but this game on the Amstrad, and this one's for the Atari ST, and I've also got the data disc, which he also got me for my birthday in 1990. I remember it. We were all getting ready to go round to hire, not to hire, we'd hired out this indoor football kind of sports centre thing, and it was my 12th birthday party, and, you know, I'd invited around about a dozen friends, you know, where we'd have, like, we'd play football indoors for, like, an hour or whatever, and then we'd all have, like, jelly and ice cream and all that kind of stuff. But before we went round there, a couple of friends came round my house, Rob and Sam, and Rob, you know, got me a present, because, you know, it's your birthday, you buy your friends presents, and I opened it up and I was shocked to see this and that, because back then, you know, 1990 for the Amstrad, like I say, these ones are for the Atari ST, but you were looking at around about, you know, 15, 20 quid for discs, and to get these two, I was like, bloody hell, man, you've splashed the cash there, or his parents had, I guess. So, yeah, when I think of Football Manager 2 and Football Manager 2 expansion kit, I kind of think of that day in 1990. But bizarrely, I had it myself. I had this version on the Amstrad about a year or two before, whenever it came out. But the kind of the big box version, which included the expansion kit, is the one he got me. And so yeah, when I think, I guess specifically of this game, the expansion kit, I think of Rob getting me that birthday present. But yeah, a brilliant game. And Kevin Tom's at the front there with the old beard. Does it want to focus? What a face. And I believe, I mean, this is probably a couple of years ago, but I remember looking online and he was making a new Football Manager game. So I don't know what happened to that, whether it came out or whether it didn't, whether it's like some kind of app for like Android phones, or whether it was going to be on Xbox Live, or I don't know what he was going to do, but still. Now, next up is Italy 1990 Winners Edition. Now, this one was sent to me via a trade from Dave, that's Psycho Fox. And, yeah, it brings back so many good memories. Now, me and a friend, Sam, who I just mentioned, you know, continuing this name check thing that's going on at the moment, we both had an Atari ST around about this time. And we played Italy 1990, the normal version, but we heard about this one and we really wanted to get it. Even though there was just a couple of minor enhancements, it was pretty much the same game. You know, a bit of a rip-off, really. But we went into W.H. Smith's to buy it. And, well, I say we, I mean, well, we went in there, but he bought it. It was his game that he wanted. And then within a few weeks, like always happened back then, it always used to happen, because I was like, you know, 18 months older than him, so every time he bought a game and I really wanted it, it would, within a matter of weeks, end up in my collection at my house. And I remember at the time I had a Chelsea football shirt. I just used to have so many football shirts, it's ridiculous. I didn't really care what team it was, just had football shirts. And I didn't really wear it anymore, and I went, if I give you that Chelsea shirt, will you swap it for this? And he just went, yeah, alright, kind of under duress. I don't think he wanted to do it, but I was using my extra 18 months or whatever it is advantage on him. And then, like I say, within just a few weeks of him buying it for like 30 quid, 20, 25 quid, whatever it was, I had it. So it brings back great memories. And then the funniest thing is, the Chelsea shirt, about 2 weeks after that, I had that back as well. So I essentially got a free game. And I used to do that to him all the time. And it wasn't deliberate, it just sort of happened. Again, I think this is what, the third, fourth, fifth football game in a row I don't... Oh, there's one more football game after this, but that's your lot for now. Footballer of the Year 2. Yeah, really good game. It improves big time on the original one. Well, I say improves. It's more of a different game. You know, the menus are bigger. There's more things to do, obviously, as you can expect from a sequel. But even though it improves it, and it does, I still prefer the original on the Amstrad. You know, my memories of Footballer of the Year are very strong. Sound like Yoda there, doesn't it? Very strong. The Force is strong. Okay, next up is Navy Seals. Now, I originally had this for the Amstrad GX4000, and this game was, or is, rock hard. It's really difficult. Now, it's funny because I do think it's one of the best games for the GX4000, but I've seen a couple of people on YouTube just absolutely slate it, and I don't know what planet they're living on because it is clearly one of the best games on the system, and there's obviously not a lot of good games on the GX4000. But this is definitely one of them. In terms of graphics, it looks really good. It plays quite well, but like I say, it is really, really hard. And if you can see it down there, it's just kind of oh, if it wants to focus, don't think it does it? It's just essentially just a kind of a sort of a side-scrolling shooter crossed with a platformer. Well, essentially it's just a platformer, I guess, with guns. So that's that one. Next up is a game called Turbo Outrun. Now, when I look at this game, just look at the front cover and all the sides with the kind of the orange, the amber, the yellow, the red. It just brings back so many memories of reading the likes of, I don't know, C&VG, ST Action, ST Format, Amiga Action, whatever it is, or whatever it was. And I always wanted this game. I always wanted to buy it because it just looked brilliant. The cover looked amazing. I loved the colour scheme like I just touched upon. And I never got round to it up until recently. And the actual game isn't too hot, to be frank. But when I look at this box, and like I say, just look at the cover art and the colour scheme, it just evokes so many memories. And just literally just takes me back to, like, whenever it was, the summer of '89 or summer of 1990. And, yeah, just incredibly kind of powerful image that it gives. Next up is the greatest football game of all time. And I'm not even joking. Emlyn Hughes International Soccer. Just a brilliantly playable game for the Amiga, the ST, for the Commodore 64, the Spectrum, the Amstrad. A brilliant game. It's got a feature in it that you can edit the teams. It's somewhat limited, but you can change the kits as well. Even just little things like the stripe down the shorts, the stripes on socks. It was so far ahead of its time. And even today, it plays really well. Now, that might be my nostalgia as well, you know, giving it a lot of credit. But I genuinely do think it's a brilliant game. A brilliant game, and my favourite football game of all time. And honestly, I'm serious. You know, I love the likes of the FIFAs and the Pro Evolutions and, you know, ISS on the 64 and on the SNES, Kickoff 2, Sensible Soccer, Sensible World of Soccer, etc, etc. But Emlyn Hughes International Soccer, honestly, if you've never played it and you're around about my age, give or take, then you may want to give it a try. I mean, if you're a lot younger than me and you went back to that, you might not like it because obviously you would be used to the modern games. But that Emlyn Hughes is, honestly, I can't stress how much of a sleeper hit it is. I say sleeper hit, I mean, people are aware of it, but it's seldom mentioned. You know, everyone talks about Kickoff 2, Sensible Soccer. But yeah, Emlyn Hughes, brilliant game. Next up is Legend of the Sword. This one's for the Atari ST. By the way, I should say that this one was sent to me very kindly. I can't remember if it was just like a gift or whether it was a trade, but Ash, 81B4U. Ash, if it was a bit of a gift, I guess I owe you something in return, don't I? You'll have to remind me. But yeah, brilliant gesture, and you know, he knew that I love this game, and to pick it out and think of me, essentially, was just amazing. Brilliant game. Yeah, next up, Legend of the Sword. I bought this on a bit of a whim quite recently, and I like the look of the artwork. I thought it looked really kind of cool. Yeah, and I looked at the back. I did a little bit of research on Google. I say research, I went to, I think it's called Hall of Light, Amiga Hall of Light, and it's got every single Amiga game, even though this one's for the Atari ST. You know, tells you information about it, how rare it is, you know, what the screenshots look like, gives you links to reviews and all that kind of stuff from magazines back in the day. And I thought, yeah, let's go for it. It was only £1, and I think £3 postage to America, so I thought, let's go for it. And it's in mint condition. Like the look of it. It's essentially kind of a strategy stroke RPG. So, yeah, interesting game. Next up is a game with amazing music. Go on to YouTube after this video. Not now, while I'm talking. I mean, come on. Yeah, Google Ninja Warriors Amiga music. Absolutely brilliant. And the artwork's kind of cool, all the way around the sides as well. Doesn't even say what the game is. But, oh, and you've got to read that. I'll pause that. Or if I were you, I'm going to leave this on for about 5 seconds. Not enough time to read it, but pause it and read it back. It's just pathetic. There you go, that's enough. And if you didn't pause it, you should really go back and read that, because it's just typical kind of late 80s, early 90s cheese. But yeah, really good game. And remember, check out the music for the Amiga version. It's amazing. Alright, Silkworm. Classic game. I think the sequel was Swiv, wasn't it? But yeah, Silkworm, great game. This one's for the Amiga, and it comes in one of these kind of clamshells, which when I first bought this, I thought, is that original? Because it's got one of these tape things. Now, this was quite common. You know, as a kid, I remember that, you know, buying a disc and it having like a cassette thing and thinking, what the hell? So I know that that did happen back then. I nearly said back in the day again there. But yeah, it seems kind of unusual, but it all fits. So I'm going to presume it's like an original kind of release. But yeah, Silkworm, classic game. You control either the helicopter or the jeep. And rock hard as well, if I remember rightly. But great in 2-player mode and single player as well. And we've got 2 games left from 2 YouTubers which I've already mentioned. First one up is Ash81B4U again, who sent me this game. I think this was a trade. Again, I can't remember what I would have sent Ash, but I'm sure you subscribed to him already. If you are, then I guess you could always check his previous videos to see what I sent him. But you're probably not, because you probably don't care. So yeah, Agony. Look at the artwork for that. And again, the music for this is just absolutely incredible. Incredible artwork, incredible music, and a really good game. My only issue with this game, and it's not really an issue as it were, because it's a brilliant game. I mean, just look at the graphics, absolutely fantastic. But I always thought as a kid that the owl that you control, yes, I did say that right, you control a bloody owl. I always thought it was a little bit too big, the sprite. It just took up too much of the screen. Although looking at that, it does, I don't know, what do you reckon? I think it's pretty big, and the enemies as well were quite big. But still, it doesn't deter it. It doesn't stop it being a bad game. Or doesn't stop it being a great game, I should say, because it is. It's a fantastic shooter. And amazing artwork, amazing music. You've got to get it. Or check it out at least on YouTube. And then last but not least, for the Atari ST, another one sent to me that, via a trade we did with Dave, Psycho Fox. And this is the Discovery Extra Pack with a load of games in there like Final Fight. Who doesn't like Final Fight? SimCity, Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters. What a title that is. 9 Lives. And a language disc there. And yeah, essentially this was just the pack that I got with my Atari ST back in 1990 or 1991. I got the big box with the, you know, the pink outer sleeve, and inside that box came this. And I imagine it's pretty hard to track down, because I'm sure a lot of people who are selling the ST with the Discovery Extra package have probably long lost this box, this little insert. So for Dave to pick this up for me was great. And like I say, it's one of the many games I can just kind of pick it up, you know, just turn it around, look at it, although there's nothing to look at the back. But, you know, just open it up, and the front cover, it brings back so many memories, and literally does just transport me back to that time when I got it at Christmas. So that is that. Those are my Amiga games and Atari ST. A lot more to come. And yeah, thanks for watching. This video has gone on for a lot longer than I intended. So I'll see you shortly. Thanks for watching. See you later.